Okay, so you've shared some, well, frankly, unsettling material with us today. Really fascinating, but definitely unsettling.
It is, isn't it? We're looking at excerpts from a review of Stephen King's The Green Mile, or El Pasillo de la Muerte, by Juan Franco Crespo.
And our focus, our deep dive today, is really getting into the themes King explores there. We're talking about injustice, the grim reality of prison life, especially during the Great Depression.
And quite surprisingly, the almost eerie role that radio plays in this incredibly bleak setting.
Right, it seems so out of place. So the mission for our listeners is to pull out the most impactful insights from this dark story and its weird connection to something as everyday as radio, all while keeping that sense of mystery and alarm the story evokes.
Definitely. And the reviewer sets that uneasy tone straight away. He notes something like, back then, it didn't take much to find the tip of a pistol at the nape of your neck.
Wow, that paints a picture. Just pervasive danger, vulnerability.
Exactly. A really precarious existence.
Yeah.
And right at the heart of it is this central tragedy. A man, possibly innocent, condemned by the mass, as the reviewer puts it, and put on death row.
That idea of the mass condemning someone, it's deeply troubling, isn't it? The reviewer highlights how it raises these huge questions about justice itself.
Yeah, like, is it just about individual accountability failing? Or is it something more systemic? Social pressure leading to maybe executing an innocent person.
It really makes you think about the fragility of it all, the potential for these irreversible errors lurking just beneath the surface.
Absolutely. And the backdrop, the Great Depression in America, that's crucial here too. The review suggests this period of, immense economic hardship fueled a lot of conflict, maybe contributing to this despair and injustice.
Was it purely economic, do you think? Or did it fray the social fabric, the moral compass, creating a breeding ground for things like this?
That seems to be the implication. And there's this really pessimistic note the reviewer hits, this idea that humanity just doesn't seem to learn from its violent past.
Oh, the thought that maybe we're even regressing in our thinking? That's
Right.
genuinely disturbing. What does that say about cycles of conflict or actual ability to change?
It's a bleak thought. And that feeling carries right over into the depiction of prison life itself. The reviewer talks about the crudeness of the prison system.
Right, emphasizing the dramatic situation for the inmates.
Yeah.
Not just being locked up, but a brutal existence.
Especially for those waiting on death row. The review really highlights that harsh reality, the characters involved in that grim anticipation.
The waiting. Just waiting for death. It's grim. And then the narrative shifts later, doesn't it? To a nursing home, Georgie Pines.
Yes, and the reviewer finds that setting disturbingly real too. A place you'd hope to avoid, hinting at possible maltreatment, neglect.
So it extends the suffering beyond the prison walls. Amplifies that sense of helplessness.
I think so. And there's this comparison made to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, okay.
The idea that maybe those who've lost control of their minds are, in a twisted way, luckier because they aren't fully aware of their horrible surroundings.
That's a tough, tragic commentary, isn't it? That sanity could actually be a burden in such an awful world. Does this suggest that lucidity is just unbearable sometimes?
It certainly raises that unsettling question. But then, amidst all this darkness, this injustice and despair, we get this unexpected element.
The radio.
Yeah, the radio. It feels almost like an artifact from another world dropped into this harsh environment. The reviewer clearly found it noteworthy.
So how does it show up? What are the specific instances?
Well, it's interesting how the reviewer tracks its appearances. Take the prisoner, Coffee. He seems unfamiliar with radio, only recognizing things after hearing them repeatedly.
What does that suggest? Detachment, a fragile mental state. Isolation from the outside world for a long time, maybe?
It could be any of those things, that confusion. Do you like the radio? He
Yeah.
doesn't even really know what it is, speaks volumes,
Yeah. But then you see it used differently, too. At night, in E-Block, helping prisoners like Delacroix relax, adapt to the routine.
Right. It's this surprising glimpse of, well, maybe not peace, but coping. This mundane technology offering a sliver of normalcy in a terrifying place.
How does that contrast with the overall prison atmosphere, a little bit of humanity creeping in?
Exactly. And the laughter, hearing laughter when Harry Terwilliger is at the desk and leader from Delacroix's cell while he's listening.
Those fleeting moments of lightness, right? Tiny cracks in that wall of despair.
It's a reminder that the human spirit still searches for any little bit of joy or distraction, even in the darkest places.
Yeah.
What does that laughter even mean there? Is it genuine? Is it just noise?
But then the imagery gets darker again. The sound of the electric chair's head cap, Compared to radio interference, that's a chilling connection.
It really is. Linking this technology of entertainment and news with the sound of state-sanctioned death.
Hmm.
Deeply disturbing.
Yeah.
What was King trying to do there, you think?
Create this awful resonance, maybe. Show how technology can be twisted or how even neutral things get tainted in that environment.
And there's that bit where a character's talking normally about everyday radio stuff, garden flowers, Roosevelt's speeches, and then suddenly just says horrible things.
Whoa. That suggests a really unsettling duality, doesn't it? Maybe worsened by the pressure? Or is it about how outside information, even seemingly harmless stuff, can influence or juxtapose strangely with internal darkness?
The reviewer seems to pick up on that juxtaposition, the mundane and the macabre, filtered through the radio. Then there's Harry, who doesn't read much, except radio manuals.
That's specific. So instead of books for escape, he's focused on the technical side of radio. Maybe it's practical knowledge, or just his way of connecting to the world.
Could be. It says something about his character, maybe his way of coping or finding control in a place where he has none.
And the detail about a prisoner calling the radio daddy-o, like a child, that's eerie.
Yeah, really chilling. Is it stress-induced regression? A desperate grasp for innocence? It speaks to the psychological toll, how their sense of self might be fracturing under the pressure.
It definitely ramps up the feeling of desperation on death row.
And then Wharton, laughing his head off in a Fred Allen radio show, probably without even getting the jokes.
Just needing any distraction, right? Any escape, even if it's completely meaningless laughter. It says a lot about the human psyche facing annihilation.
That empty laughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the narrator's own experience, his mind feeling like radio interference during intense danger. That's a powerful metaphor.
Linking inner chaos and fear with technological disruption. A breakdown in his own ability to process things.
It's amazing how this everyday technology becomes this recurring motif, reflecting different parts of the experience. Even the narrator finding solace listening at home.
Right, contrasting radio's intimate connection to the world with how isolating TV can feel, sharing that quiet moment listening to Kay Kaiser with his wife.
It's such a poignant reminder of the normal life existing outside those prison walls, a life that must seem galaxies away for the inmates. It really underscores the loss and isolation.
And that memory, dancing to a radio show in the false ballroom, surfacing during grief.
It highlights radio's nostalgic power, doesn't it? How sounds get tied to happier times, making the present sorrow even starker. Radio as an emotional anchor, maybe.
So the reviewer's final thoughts seem to broaden out from the story itself.
They really do, touching on life, death, law, ethics, and this feeling of societal stagnation, that things aren't really progressing as they should. It circles back to that initial unease.
What core questions do you think the reviewer's trying to leave us with? About society, about us?
Well, there's that anecdote about old 5-year-and-a-day sentences still feeling relevant. That's a pretty sharp jab at the idea of progress.
And the sarcastic comment about AI being the supposed solution, it feeds into that unease, right? That maybe technology can't fix these deep fundamental problems we face.
It's exactly. A pretty grim view of progress there. And the concern that the harsh conditions could drive even the workers mad.
It speaks to how pervasive the desolation is, how it seeps into everything and everyone in that environment. What does that imply for the system, for the humanity of the people working within it?
It's a dark thought. Interestingly, the reviewer then pivots slightly at the end, advocating for reading as a form of freedom, companionship, fighting cognitive decline.
A slight shift in tone, but still framed against this backdrop of what? A world indifferent to books.
Seems that way. He mentions having to recycle hundreds of unwanted books, which adds this layer of cultural concern, this melancholy note about maybe losing touch with reading.
It all adds up to a really unsettling picture. This deep dive definitely highlighted that stark contrast, the grimness of death row, and this oddly persistent presence of the radio.
It really does make you wonder.
So, for our listeners, we'll leave you with this final provocative thought. Given this stark portrayal of injustice in the Green Mile and the fragile moments of connection or escape offered by something as simple as a radio, what unseen influences, what seemingly ordinary things in our lives might be playing a more significant, maybe even disturbing role than we realize?
How might everyday information, entertainment, even just the background sounds around us, be shaping our perceptions, our realities in ways we don't fully grasp?
Something to think about.